He's got a real cute cat and he's talking about some random man is George Music Hunt.
Hello everybody, and welcome to the first video in this series where I'm going to be taking a look at tons of bands all throughout the history of our Earth, and we're going to be observing what makes them unique, possibly how they got famous, just little things about all these different bands throughout history that you potentially may have never heard of. I'm going to try to find obscure music that I feel like everybody should know. There's so much fantastic music in this world, and so much of it goes potentially ignored or just not sought after. For me as a kid, I was basically looking for the best rock bands, and, I listened to Led Zeppelin and Metallica and the Beatles, and, I listened to all the best bands in English. And at one point do you think, well, okay, I'm at band number 30, but I haven't thought to check what's the best band in Mexico, or what's the best band in the Spanish language altogether, or Russian, what's the best band in Japanese. I'm not necessarily saying we're going to stick to rock all the time, but I am a rocker, and I like art pop and funk and all kinds of different things. But I like to look for the experimental, the unique, and we're going to be diving into unique bands together. Today we're going to be talking about Caifanes, which is a late 80s, early 90s, very short-lived band from Mexico City. And they actually started when Carlos Markovich was making a film of some sort, and he needed a live band to perform in a party scene. So he asked his brother, Alejandro, to form a band that he could perform with. Alejandro, of course, was approached because he was a fantastic guitarist. And so Alejandro was able to find the amazing, unique talent of Saúl Hernández. And Saúl becomes our guitarist and vocalist. And we also were able to meet Alfonso Andre on the drums. And man, I feel like I could probably listen to the entire Caifanes discography just listening to the drum tracks or the percussion tracks in general, and fantastic, just killer stuff. Anyway, this band was called Insolitas Imágenes de Aurora, and they enjoyed playing together even though they were supposed to just be a short-lived band. And so they stuck it out, and they were quickly gaining popularity in Mexico City at the time because no other bands were really rocking like them, and no record labels were signing rock. It wasn't the cool thing to do in Mexico at the time. And these guys came with a different approach. They took a lot of synthy influence. The Cure was clearly an influence on these guys. These guys were just really unique for the time. And so they were growing in popularity, but unfortunately they were short-lived, and they broke up. But only maybe 6 to 12 months later, Saúl Hernández and Alfonso Andre reformed with Sabo Romo on the bass, and then we get Diego Herrera on the keyboards, and he also plays saxophone at times. And this band released an album in 1988 that is simply called Caifanes, although it also has a couple of subtitles. Volume 1, or Kill Me Because I'm Dying. Both are acceptable. They're in Spanish, of course. Mátenme porque me muero y Volumen 1. It seems they got a lucky break opening for Miguel Mateos, and the management of Miguel Mateos seemed to really enjoy the band. So they got the ball rolling, and we got this album released, and yeah, it's fantastic. Though, as you can see, they are definitely inspired by The Cure. Their first album was very post-punky, with touches of the goth influence, but also tons of different Mexican styles. And it's all over the place. Though that first album was really great, we were still coming to find Caifanes, as we learned, as Alejandro Markovich from Insolitas Imágenes de Aurora rejoins the band, although of course it's a new band at this point. So now we have a lead guitarist. I presume Saúl played any of the lead guitar parts in the first album, but Alejandro Markovich's addition to the band really nails it. This 5-member lineup kills it. And to get even better, the next album had Adrian Belew on production. So now we got some King Crimson rolling in here, and if you don't know who King Crimson is, I'm sure I'm going to be releasing a video about King Crimson as well, so stick around for that. Starting with their second album, the band seemed to be getting a lot more leaning towards progressive rock, though they weren't necessarily, shredding like Yes or anything, but they definitely had some progressive tendencies. And with Adrian Belew helping them produce their third album, you can hear a little bit more of that there. The band at this time was all over the place in what kind of music they play. It's so hard for me to describe what kind of band they were, so I hear the sound and I just think, oh, it's Caifanes. They definitely, by this time, have their own sound. Unfortunately, for their fourth and final studio album, we lost Sabo Romo and Diego Herrera. No, I don't mean they died, but they left the band for whatever reason, and Federico Fong and Jan Zaragoza ended up filling in on the fourth album to play the bass and keys respectively. But by no means does that mean that this is a bad album. In fact, if I were to ask a random person who knows who Caifanes is what song comes to their mind first, they're probably going to tell me the first track on this album, Afuera. So it's a real shame that the band ended up breaking up after this. It seems there must have been some sort of dispute over the name, as Saúl Hernández wanted to continue the band, but ended up doing it under the name Los Jaguares, or the Jaguars. Alfonso Andre joined him for drums on that, and you can hear they did live performances of songs like Ayer me dijo un ave, and I think there's a few others, but I honestly haven't really gotten into that band as much. I feel like the quality went down a notch after Caifanes, and that's a bummer. So I will be looking into some of their solo stuff and Los Jaguares, and we'll look and see if there's any good stuff there. But of course, if you're itching for more Caifanes, not only did 1994 give us their fourth studio album, El Nervio del Volcán, but we also got 1994's MTV Unplugged by Caifanes, which of course is excellent as well. But that's not it, because back in 2011, the band reformed with the classic five-piece lineup, and that was short-lived because in 2014 Alejandro Markovic left again, but I bet you they got some great tours in and a lot of people were able to finally go see Caifanes, and I'm sure that was fantastic for so many people. But the band has continued touring with another guitarist in Alejandro's stead, and in 2019 they actually released their first new music since 1994 in the form of a single called Heridos, and that was supposed to be foreshadowing that there's going to be an album coming out, but here we are halfway through 2011, and I don't know that they've announced an album even. It is fun that we got a single so many years after the band's breakup. Anyway guys, I clearly really enjoy this band, and I would love it if you started listening to them and enjoying them as well. If you're looking for a place to start, if you want just the one song, let's go with the single Afuera, off of that 1994 El Nervio del Volcán. Though any of their albums are really fantastic, if I had to choose one that I could never listen to again, I would choose the first album, but that's only because it just doesn't have that special touch that Alejandro Markovic brings to the band. Those songs on the first album are fantastic as well. It's only 4 albums, guys. Check out some Caifanes, and leave your comment below telling us what you thought of Caifanes. Tell me what you think of this video setup. Is this working for you? What kind of bands would you like to see? I mean, I want to show you stuff you don't know. But if you have some recommendations for things I should do a video on, feel free to shoot them out. Shoot a comment down there. You know how to support your favorite YouTubers. Like, comment, subscribe, or all of us flounder. So please give me the lift. Give me the like and subscribe. I appreciate you guys immensely. Until next time.